Good morning. Actually, it's afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is Pep Talk Tuesday, and I am here with Kim Anderson, Doug Hale, and Cindy Beckwith. Marissa is on vacation this week, so we are missing her while she's enjoying a cruise somewhere down in the Caribbean right now. Well, it's still nice in Michigan, so as much fun as she's having, at least it's warm here, right, guys?
Yep.
100%.
Well, great. Well, this is our third opportunity to gather with all of you to talk about challenges in the market and just sort of things that are happening. If you're feeling kind of downtrodden right now, our job is to lift you up and give you some tools to be successful in this market. Emma can upgrade you to a panelist so that you can interact with us here on Facebook Live. So if you'd like to do that, raise your hand, drop a note in the chat, and she will make sure that happens. So hello, welcome.
Welcome. Hi, everyone.
So yeah, good to be here. Good to be here. So today's topic is talking with buyers and sellers in a changing market. So we had a little chat before we got started about some different things that we're experiencing. The thing about real estate is all of us are also selling agents. So we're also experiencing some of the challenges that all of you are experiencing. And so we were talking about pricing a house and what that looks like today. And I know that Kim, you have some thoughts on this, working with a seller on pricing a house and sort of what's happening with one of your listings right now.
Sure. So I have two listings and both of them are not in Kalamazoo. They're over in the Battle Creek area. So that market's just a little bit slower. But they've been on the market, one for about 70 days, one for a little over 30 days. We're not hardly even having showings. So when I priced the one was May 10th was the first one. So that's a little over 2 months. I priced it where the market is. We had some showings, but we never got any offers. So that's been a challenge for me because we should be getting people through the home. The other one, my lake property, has only had 2 showings. So we both of them came on right as the market was shifting. So I'm having to have some very honest conversations with the sellers and be knowledgeable about what is happening in this market right now. And they know because they're all hearing the news as well, right? So we are having some tough conversations about what's going on. One of the things that I do before I make the call is I go in and I say, since May 10th in this area, this is what has happened. So that we're going there with value, with information, right? And so that's where I begin, is catching back up to being knowledgeable about what's happening in the market right now, and then taking it one step further and showing them exactly what the market is doing right now in that area since we listed. I want them to see what's active, what's come on the market, what's pending, and what's sold. Now, remember, some of the sold properties were probably already pending when the market changed, but that's where I've been starting. Yeah.
Do any of you guys keep track of, like, when I list a property, my MLS lets me go in and I'm able to look at how many agents are working with buyers, who's my 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, $300,000 house. But I also look at Zillow. Do you guys look at both of those things?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's because a lot of the consumers are. So I like to be educated on what's on Zillow. So I'm ahead of what, I don't want my seller to see that and me not be aware of that. And I think that's a good gauge because you can see saved and views and all that. So it's just more knowledge for us to share with our clients.
Right. And on that Zillow, my seller, who is very high type A, he lets me know. We've had 70 saves, 70 and 2 showings. So like Cindy just said, we don't want them to know more than we do. Right, Tracy?
Yeah, exactly. And when I have a price reduction, I'll sometimes screenshot that for my sellers before the price reduction, and then a day and 2 and 3 days later to see what did that price reduction what did that look like to the public? Because that's my firsthand look at directly what the public thought. Did I pick up 50 more saves? Did I pick up 5? And Doug, what is your indication when the number of saves on Zillow doesn't really change? What are you thinking? What does your conversation look like with your seller?
And we talked a little bit about this when we first got started about setting that expectation. And it really just boils down to what? The price that we've set on it. And we've got to do our homework ahead of time. And then obviously our motivation of our seller. Now we know that the seller's motivated, right? They're, at least we hope they are, to some degree.
It helps.
But more importantly, when we talk about this, because again, this is a very real thing with the saves and the views and all of the things that people, I mean, there's a lot of times where people will use that as their gauge to say, hey, does that mean we're really close on price if I'm getting this many saves or this many views? And the answer to that is it boils down to what? How many people are coming to the front door, right? And that's, I mean, I can like it and I can save it all day long, but until I take the necessary time to get to the front door or be able to call the listing agent with those questions that are important to, in this case, either myself or my buyer, that for me is an indicator right up front. And again, I know we're so well, I mean, the past has always been as you said, Tracy, take a picture of the front door because within the first week, we're going to have good activity, right?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so you make a good point about that right there. And that is that in order to find the buyer, what are the things that we should be doing as agents? What's the minimum, Cindy, that we should be doing to attract those buyers to make that phone ring? Because we can't make it ring, but what kinds of things should we be doing?
Well, we want to put the listing out professionally, which means professional photos, very important, because that's going to be their first glance at that, because your whole goal is to get people in the house. You get people in the house. In most cases, you're going to get offers. So professional photos are an absolute must.
And don't skimp, right, Cindy? Don't skimp.
No, don't. Get somebody good. Plus, it'll get you future business because they will get online and look at how you market your properties. It means a lot. It's important.
Right. So then to Doug's point, Kim, you've done the professional photos, you've got it out there, you've got lots of saves on Zillow, but the phone's not ringing. And why do what would you say the indication? What would be the conversation starter, if you will, with your seller? We've got professional photos. We can see we're getting lots of saves. I'm looking at my data and my MLS, and I can see how many agents are working with buyers. How do you use what you have at your fingertips to begin a conversation?
So I always start with, even in the listing presentation, there are 5 things that sell a house. So I'm prepping my seller. So number 1 is the market, right? It's changing, and we'll have the conversation right up front. What's going on with the market? Number 2 is location. You can't change that. Style, you can't change that. So it always comes down to price and condition, right? So the first thing I did with this home in Battle Creek was look at it. It's kind of a longer story, but the seller was home during showings. That's never good, but she had no car, no place to go. So I'm catching my market. So once she moved out, I started with, do I need to stage this home? That's one of the things I did. And I loaded up my car and I staged it. Then I always run ads, whether that's HomeSnap, Facebook. I've paid for ads to the board. I just have to look at it from every perspective. And when I know I've done everything that I know to do, and I'm looking, because our job is to market the property, to give it exposure, right? So I'm paying for more ads than I've ever paid for. I'm paying to have things staged. Now it comes down to price and condition. So that's why I staged this home. I have one seller moving out this week. I said, maybe we need to paint this. What can you do? Leave me a table. I'm going to come and stage that. Honestly, I haven't worked this hard to sell. And these are outer markets, right? It's not my inner on-demand school system, local. So look at it. And then it comes down to price and condition. And after I show them the stats, I took a 10,000 last night from one of these homes because I showed them the stats and they said, oh, we're probably going to sell in this price, aren't we? And I go, yeah, we aren't getting anybody through the door. Another thing is, before I pass this off, is I tell sellers that my job is to market the property. Those listing photos are so important because they are your first showing, right? That's your first showing. So if we have really good marketing out there and buyers aren't coming in, they're saying, I don't like something that I'm seeing on paper or on the internet, right? But then if we're getting them in and they aren't writing offers, they're saying, oh, I got in the house, but I don't want to buy it. So these are some tools and conversations that I personally have. I know we all have different conversations, but I have these every time, every single time. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, something just came into my mind too, because this is early on. We're talking about things that you do early on that are super important. I don't know why. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm just in a habit. I just do the same thing over and over again. I am literally, I know this, don't fall over when you hear this, guys, but I'm literally picking up the phone and calling probably the top 10 to 15 agents that sell all the real estate in your area.
Great idea.
Introduce yourself if you don't know them, and more importantly, talk to them about your listing. Hey, this is coming up. I want you to know what you'll see online. I want to share with you a little bit more than that, but it gives your seller a really good understanding that this is why Kim Anderson sells all the houses, because she's reaching out to everybody and shaking the bushes, getting those people that are selling all the real estate more knowledge. So that's important.
Yep.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah, very good.
And I'll tell you, it goes back to, using the statistics that we have available to us in our MLS. One of the things I was writing down was, your seller's going to have lots of questions. And if we're talking to our own sphere of influence, both our professional group of realtors, but also our friends, hey, what are you hearing in the market? What are you thinking? What have you read? What has the news been telling you about what's happening? Because those are the things your sellers are hearing. So use, do any of you use your market stats as a way? Are you watching pending, solds, what's coming into the market?
Oh yeah, when I meet with a seller, I have a copy of the stats just so I can go through that with them. But I kind of want to, what Kim was saying when she's early on a listing. The other thing is, how many showings and people you get through also depends on what if the house is on a dirt road. I mean, I have a farm that's on a dirt road. When I met with those sellers, I said, okay, this is what we're looking at, because I'll go in and assess, okay, what do I think is going to be our objective? It's something that someone's going to object to. Well, a dirt road. So I've already educated my sellers, we may not get as many showings because it's on a dirt road. People either love them or they hate them. Price range, you're finding fewer showings on higher price properties. That's the way in Lansing. And I think that that's something, so I really educate those sellers, because I want them to know I'm their information person. I want to be able to help them and guide them throughout the whole transaction.
Yeah. Crystal, you sell in the Hart area, Ludington probably too. What says you? What are you hearing? You're in a different, you don't sell? No, she doesn't sell.
No. So I have one in particular that is a huge struggle for me, because it was listed a little high because they were trying to grab that big bubble, right? And we did $125,000 price reduction and still 0 showings.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Huge.
And were you paying attention to those clicks on Zillow, your MLS? I mean,
yes,
how many buyers?
yes,
What's the price point?
$375 right now.
So it's $375. So you'd still think in the $375 price range, there'd be a fair amount of buyers in that area near water. I mean, is this one like, how many miles from a beach is it?
It has access. It has Stony Lake access.
Okay.
The one I'm having trouble with has an access too.
Yeah.
Is it in good condition, Crystal? Is it a nice house, Crystal?
It's pristine. There's one thing that I think could be the issue, and there's only 1 bedroom on the main level. Otherwise, it is basement bedrooms. So in my mind, that could be an issue.
Do they have
for
egress?
families?
Yeah.
Do they
have egress? It's a walkout.
Okay. But
so I mean,
I think one of the things you can do is just what we're doing here. Call
Right.
somebody in your area and say, look at this from a buyer's perspective. What do you see? What could I do differently? Sometimes we have to coach each other, right?
Right.
I
Agreed.
do that a lot. Yeah.
Good.
See,
Yep.
and I've done a walkthrough with a couple of people, and it's so nice, it's so cute, but not one buyer has
Cute.
bothered to check it out.
Yeah.
The other thing is, have you shown, like I've gone back and shown what has sold in that price range, and I try to set that up in the beginning, but in that price range, maybe they're on the you probably already did this, maybe they're on the market for 60 days. There just aren't that many buyers, but like Cindy mentioned, we are their information person, and
Right.
we have to have these conversations, right?
Absolutely.
How are the photos, Crystal? I mean, are the lower level,
Professional.
are they, and they look nice and bright? Because, you know, sometimes you see those lower level photos and you're like, oh,
No, it looks
Huh.
good. They look good.
Well, I'll tell you a story on my one property. I thought everything looked good, but there was one, I really wasn't getting a front shot. And my seller finally said to me after 30 days, can I take a new picture? And I'm like, okay, that's never good, right? He goes, I've never really liked that photo. And that's called, don't ever want that to happen.
Yeah.
But he took a bunch more and he said, I had to ask myself what drew me to this house. And he sent me a bunch of pictures. That's not a good day. I wish he would have told me that he wanted more. So lesson learned. I'm not just getting 15 pictures now. I'm going to be doing 30, but you know, you listen to the feedback, right? And he sent me this great shot, but he was never happy in the first place. So, you know, sometimes it just takes asking questions and talking to them to find out what we can do differently, right?
yeah, that's how we learn. That's how we do
Yeah.
things, you know, we
Yeah.
learn to do things different.
Yeah.
Hey, can I touch on kind of the emotional part of this whole thing? Because you guys know I'm an emotional guy, right? Everybody
Are you?
say yes. Say yes. Say yes.
You know,
Talk-
suicide.
Yes, Doug. yes.
Okay.
Yes, master.
Like talking emotions with your seller. We've got to be able to demonstrate to our sellers that we're not giving up, right? Crystal, I mean, we're not giving up on this.
Right.
We're digging deeper. We're making more inroads. We're doing some different things. Probably more important than any other agent is to come alongside our seller to help them sell. Again, I'm always one of those guys that says, enthusiasm, be the cheerleader. Again, come with the news, and we're all talking about great things that, you know, that we can point out, the market stats and all of those things. But again, at the end of the day, the seller's going to say, Doug, what are you going to do to sell this house for me? What are you going to do? And that comes strictly from where? That's the emotional part, right? And so you've got to be ready emotionally to dial in and to be in the trenches with your sellers and to, again, be able to share that. You're in there with them, right? You're in there, you're on the team. So again, that's kind of my where I go to a little different place, because I don't want to be.
We're
Crystal,
losing Doug. We're losing
Crystal,
Doug.
quick question. How,
Yeah.
when
Look, he's
that
stuck.
happens, like when I have a house that hasn't sold and I'm pretty sure I've got it priced right and everything, I go in and I don't recommend this for everybody, but I'll go in and I'll rearrange the furniture. I'll do all that. I have no problem. I mean, people laugh at me because I'll be dragging a couch across the floor and because I like to do that kind of stuff too. But I mean, I'm just wondering if you rearranged it. I mean, could one of the bedrooms look like an office instead of a bedroom? Then they wouldn't think of another bedroom being down below, or, you know, it's something a little creative like that.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to, and by the way, Doug, if you can hear me, I talk to this gentleman every single day. So we are definitely on the same page there. But I think that I'm going to try to rearrange the photos themselves. Because, you know, when you're looking online, you see the one photo all the time. So you automatically in your mind know this house.
Yep.
So I
Good
think if
idea.
I rearrange the photos, that will bring other lookers because, you
Yep.
know, the price has changed. So if I do a photo rearrange, I'm going to do that today.
I changed the front photo, I changed the wording, I moved
Yep.
things around. Yeah, you do.
And I don't know if you guys do this, but we can relist in Lansing, like have the listing go
Yep.
out as a brand new listing too, especially when there's a big price change. Because
I
again,
wish.
that'll be sent out in the MLS to all those
Right.
agents again. And it doesn't look like an old listing, it looks fresh and new.
Yeah, and
I
if they put
wish.
it in their trash, it becomes a brand new listing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
that's
about,
what I'm
so,
gonna
so
do.
we've got Paul McIntyre and Mark, is it Bremer? I don't know if I know Mark Bremer, but I'm just wondering if either of you have any thoughts you'd be willing to share, and if you don't, that's okay too, but it's fun to hear from our agent community too. Thanks, Crystal, for doing that.
Anytime.
Yeah.
So I think the rearranging the photos is important. In particular, that first photo, but also keep in mind when these go out to different websites, they different websites have different photo limits. And I know a lot of agents a lot of times will try to make it a walkthrough tour of the house. And what I usually do is make sure that especially those first 6 photos are the best photos. So, you know, I like to have the front elevation, but you definitely want to have the kitchen in there, the living room, the master bedroom, you know, and then choose which others are the best photos, because some of the websites out there, you know, the big ones are going to have all of the photos, but we've still got a lot of websites out there that only show 6 photos or 8 photos. And so I want to make sure that everybody sees the best things first because of just the whole concept of first impressions.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that, Paul, too. And then I'd be honest with you, I hadn't given much thought to the fact that there's limitations in these
Right.
other websites. We think of just sort of the main ones, but at the end of the day, we have no idea where the buyer is going to come from. When the company that helps me market my photos, they take all my photography for me. They also push it out to places. And when I look at the list of all of these places, I'm just like, lakefrontliving.com, you know, it's like sometimes there's just some oddball ones there, but you're right, Paul, that there's some truth to that. I'm certain of it. Yeah, and at the end of the day, our job is to always help our clients stay focused on the goal. The goal is either helping them buy something or helping them sell something. And you'll hear me say this all the time, I'm just an advice giver, but if we're not the ones showing up with the advice, they're going to take advice from a lot of other places. So we can't have enough conversations with our sellers right now about market, about what's happening, you know, the fact that, you know, prices have been rising at such a high rate. The prices are still up. Nothing has started to fall, but they may not just move at the rate they have been, but housing prices are still up. Tomorrow's a big day, though. Before we get off, I think we should probably talk about what's expected tomorrow. Kim, what are we hearing about tomorrow?
About the hike rate or the rate hike. Sorry, I said that backwards. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, to be really honest with you, I saw the headline. I tried to click on it and it spooled. So I haven't read the article, but I did see the headline. Has anybody read it yet?
No.
But yet, because it said possibly some of the
A full
lenders.
point.
Yeah,
Yep.
Well, we kind of expected that, unfortunately, but it's still, I mean, buyers can still buy and rates will go down. They can refinance down the
Right.
road. And I mean, it's more likely they'll go up right now. So it's better to buy, and rent prices are way up there. So,
right.
Right. But if you have a property that's been kind of difficult to sell and you know this is coming tomorrow, like I'm going to be listing a young couple's house that I sold to them about 3 years ago, and they want to now get out of this one and buy another one. So I'm going to be having this discussion with them about what this is going to look like, both to the buyers that might come in and buy their house, but also to them, they're going to become a buyer, right? So this is going to reduce their own buying power. So
yeah.
we don't want to ignore these conversations. We want to get in front of them, educate ourselves so that we can be a really good advice giver.
Well, before we get off though, I do want to quote, I noticed a lot of agents shared my post from Dave Ramsey. And it was probably a breath of fresh air for a lot of us. So I'm going to pull it up on my phone and read it. And you know, he's a financial expert, right? I mean, that's what he does for a living. And so it's on my Facebook page. It's public from Dave Ramsey a few days ago. It says, he said, right now is the best time to buy a house in the next 5 years. And here's why. Prices are not going to go down. They're going to go up slower, but they're not going down. And so 5 years from today, houses are going to be more expensive. So this is the best price right now if you're going to buy a house. If interest rates come back down, refinance. But don't not buy waiting on interest rates to come back down.
Yep.
I had a conversation with my niece
Good
last
advice.
year. Yeah, and I had a conversation this weekend with my niece who bought last year. We looked for 1 year. She had to go 30 over in order to win. And I said to her, you're going to be okay. If you're going to buy, they had to buy. They had sold their house. And now she's probably, according to numbers, right? She's up by at least 50,000. Now, we don't know
Yeah.
what the market's doing, but it better last year than this year, right? So I think one thing that we like to talk about is mindset, being the positive person, emotional intelligence. I get the frantic, you know, how many, ooh, they showed my house today. Maybe I got an offer coming in.
Yay!
You know, they get on the phone and they text, and I just know he's on a spin. Got to manage this right now, right? So, I mean, at one point, my seller has 3 houses, his fiance's, and the one they just bought. So just know that they're panicking, and we have to be the calm in what's going on around them, right?
Yep, for
Great.
sure.
Great.
Well, good. Any final thoughts?
No,
Well, good.
Go do
Well,
it.
I'll tell you, just a reminder, Doug, Cindy, Marissa, Kim, and myself, we are here to assist you along with our deal doctors, Don and Eric. And we're here to assist you in all facets of your real estate. If you have questions, if you have problems, if you're just looking to dialogue, if you'd like to learn something more in a new area, give us a call. Check out our new education website. There's tons there, and let us know how we can help you. So be a
Always.
good, yeah. Just get in front of it. Have those conversations with those sellers and those buyers about what's happening in this changing market, and let us know how we can assist you. Everyone have a great day.
Absolutely.
have a
I
great
get-
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, gang.
Thank you.